people what's happening. I've always loved telling people what to do. No, jokes, sort of. Anyway, today, so April 8th is the 98th day of the year, in case you didn't know that. It's the 99th, actually, because it's a leap year. So it's the 99th day. Extra special if you're into numbers, numerology, alchemy. The number nine is actually a magical science number of math and alchemy. I love it. And yeah, anyway, so April 8th is the 98th day usually, but today, this year, it is the 99th because we've had a leap year. It's the Gregorian calendar that we go by. Yeah. Speaking of which, in 217, Roman Emperor Caracalla is assassinated and is succeeded. And no one cares. What else do we care about? Look, I'm just cold calling here. 1908, Harvard University votes to establish the Harvard Business School. That's great. Did they have women there? Did they vote to? Anyway, what else do we have in 1940? No, 1943, 1942. World War II, the Japanese take Bataan in the Philippines. 1943, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, in an attempt to check inflation, freezes wages and prices, prohibits workers from changing jobs unless the war effort would be aided thereby, and bars rate increases by common carriers and public utilities. We're still experiencing so much of this shit. I don't, am I allowed to say shit? So I need Dwayne here to regulate my profanity because, while I read profanity, hey, look, in 2014, Windows XP R, remember? RIXP, reaches its standard end of life and is no longer supported. Well, that's nice. That's nice. I don't really care for what happened in the past. Let's see what's happening in the present moment. And I did say to you that it is a solar eclipse day. But first of all, let's go to, there's this, look, we do know what's happening, right? And this is a news channel, so I'm not going to remain impartial. I think the problem with news at the moment is that people are forced to take sides based on, they say political, but it's actually your humanitarian stance. And increasingly, more and more media do not want to mention topics that may seem contentious to their viewers, or most importantly, their sponsors, their advertisers, and their owners. Whilst we are as independent as possible, and by that I mean we are on a someone else's platform. So I have been banned and suspended, and many of us who continue to share contentious topics, aka pro-humanitarian topics, and unveiling the truth about things, well, we get told that we're going against community guidelines, which is really interesting. I'd love to have a real talk with the people who wrote community guidelines. They may actually be robots now, because now we have robots checking to see if we're humans. We've been having that for a while. Those little boxes we've got to check. Check all the motorcycles. Oh my God, there is a bit of the fender of that motorcycle in this frame. Anyway, this is one thing. So Netanyahu wants to ban Al Jazeera to hide Gaza's horrors, but reality is getting through. And I'm reading now from The Guardian. This is another reason why they're coming down hard. They're coming for social media platforms like TikTok. Now, note they're not going after Instagram and Facebook, etc., because they're all state of American owned, aren't they? TikTok is not. TikTok has been co-founded by, a Singaporean-born national who happens to be of Chinese ancestry, and because of that ancestry, the state of America's powers that be don't trust TikTok. So TikTok is about, I don't know, I'm not predicting anything, but I'm seeing that TikTok might now be suppressed and other platforms are going to blow up. But where is the truth? Where can you find the truth in amongst all the noise? And my gosh, if you scroll through Instagram Reels, one after the other, particularly according to your algorithm. According to my algorithm, I look for news and sciences and spirituality. Wow, there's a lot of people out there telling you what to do, huh? Oof. Anyway, I'm just telling you what's happening. And I don't advise, I just share. So Netanyahu wants to ban Al Jazeera to hide what's happening in Palestine. Oh, thank you, my darling.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. And this is what's happening with TikTok. And this is why there's a huge suppression of information and of news. Because if I'm reading out some news headlines, regular viewers know I inhale, I am a consumer, I'm a vacuum cleaner. There is no vacuum. Is there a vacuum out there, though? And there's certainly not a vacuum in here. I just have a never-ending thirst for knowledge and information. So this is what I'd like to share with you. Now, why is he doing that? Because they're running scared. They know now the truth. They've been hiding behind, unfortunately, the heinous, evil doings and crimes that were done against the people of Jewish faith. Now, people who have their own agendas take those actual reality, truthful things, mix it with their ego and their evil, and they make it something else altogether. And that is what is happening to the people of Palestine. It's been happening ever since the US and the UK, for starters, and the state of America. They decided they didn't want to house the displaced European refugees. Let's ship them off into the Middle East so that we can have a spy base there. Look, I'm just imaginationing. I'm not saying that was the truth, but we all know, now that we know that these conspiracy theories are in effect, they actually were reality practices. So, boy, and this is why the lives on Instagram have now gone back down to 1 hour. During pandemic time, they were taken to 4 hours. It was wonderful for me when I was starting out with my lives because, as we all know, or regular viewers know, I can't be stopped. Anyway, so news. Just in case you want some background on what Al Jazeera is and what Al Jazeera means. Al Jazeera means peninsula. It's a 24-hour English language news channel, and it is funded in part by the government of Qatar. Now, the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa, provided a loan of $137 million. I'm going to assume that's US, because that's Qatar, 500 million. Qatar, 500 million is US, 137 million. Qatar, I don't know if you do this when you're traveling and you look at exchange rates all over the world. I love seeing who's got the highest exchange rate, and Qatar has kept that for a very long time, for the last 10 years. It's interesting. So yes, to sustain Al Jazeera through its first 5 years. So the first Al Jazeera's first day on air was 1st November 1996. So essentially Netanyahu wants to take on the government of Qatar. Good luck, mate. So is Al Jazeera a reliable source of news? Well, it skews left of bias and is considered reliable. So that's why they want to end it. Now, what does Israel want? What does Israel want? According to an article in Al Jazeera, beyond the assaults that Israel puts on Palestine continuously and has done so, as I was saying, from the very beginning when they first were told, go take what you want there. That's what we do at the State of Americans. Just walk right in there and take it. It's yours. They won't complain. Well, that's what they did. We talked about this, and this may be in the unpopular opinion thing, but I might bring it up there. Hey, why not? Let's just put everything out on the table, except the pen, clearly. Excuse me, I just dropped my pen. But my friends, the pen is always worth going for because the pen is mightier with the word. Anyway, so yes. I was saying that in unpopular opinion, I'll share some information with you. So what does Israel want beyond this assault? What Israel wants in Gaza remains unclear, and there's no Palestinian, international, or Israeli consensus on who would administer the enclave in the future. Goodness me. And it's atrocious. It's atrocious. And the reasons why they want to shut down and suspend and suppress information is because we're seeing how the people what's going on with the people of Israel? Can they not see what's happening and what they're doing? It's incredible to see Stockholm syndrome, and there needs to now be I don't know what we would term it, an Israeli syndrome, where people really genuinely do not see the evil they do. They bomb people and laugh and sing and have songs sung by children's choirs about we will kill them and annihilate them or some shit like that. I'm not going to sing a good tune, a song like that. They're also at Eurovision. The song that they're singing at Eurovision, what does this say this to you about the ex-European refugees, who, by the way, there is a reason. I've got to find out why. Why is Israel? Because it's not just because they are ex-European refugees. In Europe, look, Google's first, all I had to type in was, why is Israel allowed? And the first one is, why is Israel allowed in Eurovision? Second one is, why is Israel allowed to have nuclear weapons? And the third one is, why is Israel allowed? I kid you not. You type in those words, why is Israel allowed? And there you go. But in Eurovision, Israel is entitled to enter since it has long been a member of Eurovision. The principal criterion for taking part. Okay, listen. Australia also takes part in Eurovision. We're not part of Europe, but this country, this sacred land, was colonized and settled. Not settled, colonized, invaded. And the country of Australia was created and constructed on this land, but it is really very much European in its essence. But Australia very much is a multicultural country, and it's becoming the microcosm of the world that I thought Fiji was at one stage. But anyway, so but it was. Listen, there has been some problems. Al Jazeera again. Why was Israel forced to change its song entry for Eurovision? And this is this year. Well, because the song contest prides itself on being non-political. As I told you, Israel's entry was not at all apolitical. But I'm not a fan of Eurovision. I have never watched Eurovision, but for some, it's the Oscars of the music world. I don't know how. When we do already have the Oscars of the music world, it's called the Grammys, and it's based in according to what the state of America holds up as the benchmark. So they think it's the Grammys of the world, but maybe Eurovision is. No, it's the European of the world. But Israel's so it's a song they rejected. So in February, the European Broadcasting Union, the organizers of the contest, rejected Israel's entry, a song called October Rain, on the grounds that it referenced the victims of the October 7th Hamas attacks on southern Israel and was therefore too political. Oh, because, October 7th Hamas attack on southern Israel was the first time anything happened. And may I please remind you that Hamas is an independent body and they are fighting on behalf of the Palestinian people who have not got the means and resources and strength and, frankly, energy to fight this continuous onslaught of colonization that has been rampaging on them like some sort of acid rain for 76 years almost, ever since the displacement of these ex-European people. The people in Israel are not, I cannot call them people of Jewish faith, because people of faith and of God are not people who go and colonize and commit genocide on other people. And people of God do not hide behind God and wish for God's wrath to strike upon those that are not amongst their community. And that, my friends, is something everyone has to look at. So, look, we're going to continue with the news, a little bit of it. So I had said that the Guardian's headline was Netanyahu wants to ban Al Jazeera to hide the horrors. And that's because now people on the ground in Palestine, they are actually showing the world. And for the first time, they are able to see that the world, the global majority, is on their side. Please understand that the world's conflicts and crises does not start and end with what is happening in the Middle East. The world is in terrible, terrible turmoil. And, spiritually and astrologically speaking, they do say solar eclipses herald a time of new beginnings. So we'll talk about that. But what had I said from Reuters? Netanyahu pushes to shut Israeli office of Qatar's Al Jazeera. Good luck with that, because Qatar has got power. I'll let you know about that power later, exactly what is, because not a lot of people know a lot about Qatar, and there is a lot to know about Qatar. So let's head on to what else is doing headlines. I'm going to go to now, where are we going? We're going to, let me talk about the solar eclipse because look, the sun is shining on me and I am shining bright today. So what is the total solar eclipse and how can you watch it? Well, if you're in Australia, you can't, but if you are in the state of America, then then you can, because today, oh well, Monday, the moon, it's all lunacy, my friends. That's what the solar eclipse is about. It's lunatic behavior. Because when the moon was high, the tides were high too. When the moon is high, the tides are high. And this, of course, affects human behavior. Why? Because we are majorly made up of water. Makes sense. It all flows, doesn't it? So the moon will block the sun in what many will say will be one of the most spectacular celestial events in recent times. Why? Because it's going across the state of America. Anything that happens in America is supposed to be the most spectacular event in whatever. The total solar eclipse that will traverse a large chunk of the continental US on Monday, along with parts of Mexico and Canada, will be one of the most spectacular celestial events in recent memory. Here's what you need to know. I've got my big newsreader woman voice on now. What is a total solar eclipse? The phenomenon occurs when the moon moves in front of the sun and blocks its face completely, causing the bright sky to darken to twilight in just seconds. The track of the moon's shadow is called the path of totality, which for Monday's eclipse will be about 115 miles wide. What's that in kilometers? 150 miles, and sweep across 15 states in the US in a northeast direction, from Texas to Maine, for roughly an hour. Beginning at what?
240.
It's 240 kilometers wide, for roughly an hour. So beginning at 1:30 p.m. CT. What's CT? Anyway, but it's going to be a major event in the States. Everything is a major event. By the way, do you know how much Super Bowl tickets are? Anyway, okay, so didn't we just have a solar eclipse? Yes, we did, and I do believe. We've also just had a lunar eclipse. So it's been absolute lunacy, as I have said, my friends. My gosh, 2 eclipses. And do not for a moment think that this is all esoteric. If we are at our core elemental, then of course we're going to be affected by everything out there. The planetary alignments, that great big star in the sky, which is the boss of our solar system. Well, that's why it's called a solar system. Do you understand that every single shining light in the sky is a potential or is a solar system, huh? Does every star that is there, that as long as it's there, most, it has to have the right type of star, and it could be a solar system. But right now, you're right in my face, my darling sunshine. I love sunshine. So didn't we just have a solar eclipse? Yes, we had one last October, and that it was called a Ring of Fire show because of some reason. We did, I think Western Australia had the best view of that. But now that, of course, this one's going across the state of America, it is a huge event, blah, blah, blah. Now, what else is being said about it? Astrologically, look, if you want to know, and as I have said before, and as regular viewers of our show know, astrology for us is a science, my friends. Not just for us, astrology was a science, full stop. It is a science. It was a science until it was deemed a pseudoscience by European scholars in the 1700s, thereabouts. However, prior to that, it was the only way for people to chronicle what's happening and also correlate what the movements of the planets and the stars, etc., are doing and affecting the people on Earth. So, astrologically speaking, yes, apparently, this is a very, very significant shift for, in those terms as well. I just missed somebody's here. Sorry, I didn't see that. So, yep, the solar eclipse will also affect you astrologically, and it is also happening in a new moon day. What is a new moon? That's when the moon is at its crescent, and it is going to be a full moon in whatever time. And so you're supposed to set your intentions according to the new moon. So if you're into writing down manifestations, etc., this is the time to do it. Now, how to write manifestations, it's not as easy as people think, because people think they need to write some really grandiose statements. What do you want? Just write. I want. If you want something specific, be specific. You have to be specific. You cannot just say, I want to be this, I want to be happy. What does that mean? What are the steps for you to be happy? So once you know that, Write down. First say, you want to be happy? Great, I want to be happy. What does it take? But let's go back to the news here. So this is a good time, but this is about news as well. This is about new news for yourself. Have some new news for yourself 1 month from now. Write it down. What do you want 1 month from now for yourself? Set those intentions in ink. Write them down, speak them out. Then forget them. But at least they're here and they're going to be written in your mind. This is a good day. Even if you don't believe in the esoteric side of things, in the spiritual side of things, in the astrological side of things, just take this day as a wonderful balance of things. It is the 8th of April. So you've got an 8 number. It's infinity. It's, 4 is quite a magical number too. 2024, that comes to 8. So all of it, 2 plus 2 plus 4 is 8. And then you've got all these 8s happening everywhere. So it's all quite magical. It's a solar eclipse. It's a new moon. That's science as well as esoteric, as well as spiritual. I won't say esoteric anymore. So just choose today to be the day that you're going to change some things for yourself. Just decide that today is the day. It's just going to be one day. One day, one step at a time. Right, let's go to Australian Broadcasting Corporation where could that be? Look, I don't know any more about what's happening. Yeah, I do know where that is. Hello. I don't know what is happening with the ABC, because if even the staff of ABC are now saying that our beloved non-commercial channel is actually just now a puppet for the government and is not saying things and is firing people because they dare utter the words Palestine, not words, the names, Palestine and Gaza, and report the truth. Well, boy, aren't we all coming down hard on. So what's the headlines with the ABC? Uninsured flood victims devastated as dream home is inundated 2 weeks after moving in. We've just had an absolute horror of a weekend in New South Wales. There's been a great deluge. Is that a horror, or have things been washed away? It's all very symbolic. Just before a solar eclipse, there's great big rain and flooding, flash flooding everywhere. I don't want to make light of it. I never say anything in light terms. We had a lot of flooding all throughout New South Wales, and I do believe the weather systems were affecting the Pacific as well. So I do hope, if you are watching this, I do hope you are okay, and if you have experienced that weather, because a lot of people are losing houses, just flooding, water. Do not water, my friend. Be water, be that, as we do know the great Bruce Lee said, a quote that people often misquote. Be water, my friend. Well, there's a full quote, and what that means is be as forceful as water, but be adaptable as well. And like water, you do need to be corralled. Your force, your energy, your creativity needs to be structured. And that's what we're doing here now on the Daily Egg. We'll tell you a little bit more about that when we're back in Studio K, but we are now in Studio O. And what's O for? What is that thing? O for awesome?
O for awesome.
O for awesome. There was this PG term, slang term. O for awesome.
But it was from a TV show, Jeopardy.
Right.
Like really old, I think from the 80s, when David Tua was, he's a boxer.
Right.
So he was rising up in the ranks, and he was really famous at the time. So he was one of New Zealand's famous boxers, and he was on Jeopardy. And he had to guess a letter, and he goes, "Oh, for awesome." It was on live TV.
I love it. So, oh, for awesome. Very cool. So back to the headlines. And then, okay, so just in, more than 1 million older mobile phones at risk of being blocked from making 000 calls. 000 is Australia's number for emergency. But how prevalent is the state of America's entertainment that because of that, 911 is the first number that goes into people's heads in Australia? It's a huge problem, and I think that they've done something about that by what they've done is they've redirected 911 to then connect to 000. Please understand, 000 is the emergency hotline, not 911. 000. But having said that, apparently some phones can't, because that is supposed to still be, even if you don't have credit or connectivity, apparently you can still connect to the emergency line. So, Nigerian police arrest 2 over alleged sextortion of Australian boy who took his own life. Whew. Former Defense Chief Mark Binkson appointed to scrutinize investigation into Israeli airstrike. ASX, my apologies, Australian Stock Exchange set to follow Wall Street gains after strong US jobs creation not matched by wage rises. I also follow the stock exchange quite closely, obviously not today, but a lot of news, because I don't have anything for you. I haven't been looking at the stock because I do invest. I have invested, I did invest, and my investments are, let's just say they're currently outvestments. But we'll be talking about investments later on in the show, and we'll tell you a sure bet, what you can invest on that will just raise stocks incredibly. But it is a risk because all investment is a risk. All investment is purchasing a product you have no knowledge about and trying it for the first time. It's a risk because your money, you're putting your money, your energy into something else. That's all money is, by the way. So the stock exchange is something I definitely follow. And what is very, very scary is that lithium and gold. And I usually I invest in green stock. Energy. Oh boy, have I lost big time. All the wonderful things that were happening with ethical stuff and investments, etc., not happening anymore. Whew. But my friends, it will all come back. Don't worry. It's just everything is a bit of a pattern. And right now, the patterns I'm seeing, I'll share that with you soon. So let's continue. What else is happening? News headlines. In Australia, from NITV, the National Indigenous Television, Aboriginal legal services say they are being forced to turn people away. Of course, because Australian funding, all the Australian money in government is being used to buy submarines, which have been delayed by wherever they were coming from the state. I have a news item here. So while we're still, come on, where are you? There you go. Let me just read this little bit for you, which, maybe I didn't actually put that in here because I was going to read that anyway. But we're all still, the Australian government and Canada and a couple of others are still waiting for their submarines. Sorry, Indigenous Legal Services, maybe next time, because Australia's borders need to be protected by submarines from the US. You know that the US has a military base smack bang in the middle of Australia, where even Australians of Euro white origin are not allowed to go, unless, of course, they have special clearance. Sweet! That's really cool. Oh, so cool. Of course, I mean, why, if the Vatican is a city within its own city, and if now Israel thinks they're a country within somebody else's country, of course the state of America is going to think that they have a little bit of Australia as their own. Meanwhile, the Indigenous people of this land that Australia was built on, they're still fighting for legal services. Cool. So fight to repatriate cultural items and remains held in British museums continues. Because the reason why there's a fight is because the British Museum will be empty. What are you talking about? Of course they're going to fight to hold these, of course, if they're going to make it really difficult for people to get their things back. I mean, I went into the Cairo Museum in Cairo, and I'm looking at everything. It's like, damn, the British people are probably like, these things are ours, we found them. I mean, there were things on loan from the British Museum that are Egyptian in Cairo.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. I wonder where all the Fiji things are.
So if they gave all artifacts back to the proper country, what would be left in the museum, right?
British grit. The need to conquer. So they're going to go and, I don't know. What is going to be left? Look, I don't know. It's because their museums are monuments to their adventures and explorations and loot.
So it's like you wore in the movies when you see a rich man's cabin or something, all of his hunting things.
Yeah, so that's what it is. It's the monument to conquest.
Wow.
That's
monument
what museum.
To colonization.
Monument to colonization.
Beautiful.
Is what these are. So back to the news. So there is a university which is now paying black staff for cultural load, and that is a story I also shared on my Instagram stories, and I think that's pretty cool. So Murdoch University has established a cultural load allowance available to Indigenous staff who provide cultural contributions, my apologies, outside of their role. So let me read that again. Murdoch University has established a cultural load allowance available to Indigenous staff who provide cultural contributions outside of their role. How does it work? And is it something that should be more widely adopted? Yes, of course. So the Western Australian University, it always happens in Western Australia, has established, that's because it is right out west. It is too far away. You know, it takes the majority of time to fly across Australia to get to Western Australia, to leave Australia. And that's why perhaps in some ways they're a little bit more advanced than the east coast of Australia that is still mired in some really archaic ways of thinking. First and foremost, that this is not, first and foremost, that they think that this is not a black country. It's hilarious to me. Anyway, the Western Australian University has established an allowance that provides up to $8,944 a year to Indigenous employees. Right now, 8,000 cents, 8 cents is everything right now with the cost of living. Woo! So that would be welcome to anybody, especially to Indigenous First Nations people of this country. Employees who are contributing cultural knowledge and perspectives beyond the scope of their role. So Binjareb woman and Pro-Vice Chancellor of First Nations, Chanel van der Berg at the university, says that the Indigenous staff are often having to go above and beyond in their roles within the workplace. Now, most people of multicultural background and women are always having to explain. We call this emotional load, emotional labor, cultural load, having to explain. People from Fiji having to explain who we are, me being of Indian ancestry, having to explain why I am from Fiji, my husband who is triracial. This is cultural load. But however, we're okay. It's just racial grouping. We can say, yeah, our ancestors were shipped off to Fiji to be slaves legally, or me, I don't know. And his Chinese, Kaiviti, Indo, who knows, where his Chinese ancestry, etc. Well, we do know, but anyway. But cultural load is that thing where we have to constantly, especially Indigenous people of the world, constantly have to apologize for their existence while also explaining their existence. So it's a start, but I'm worried that some of these things are quite tokenistic. Now, what else can we read? Sydney Morning Herald, another favorite source of information for me. Again, I'm seeing quite, even though their masthead says the Sydney Morning Herald. Independent, always. Great, but that doesn't mean they're impartial. I don't really see a lot of messages pro-humanitarian in terms of Palestine. I'm going to say something really contentious in the juice later on when we're back in Studio K. Unpopular opinion is the juice's question today. But I'm just going to read out some of the headlines on the Sydney Morning Herald. The messages are horrific. Sextortion pushed a New South Wales schoolboy to suicide, and that's what I read on ABC. Nigerian police arrest 2 over alleged sextortion of Australian boy who took his own life. I'm going to read this a little bit more from the Australian Broadcasting Commission's site. Australian authorities have confirmed the arrests of 2 males in Nigeria. The investigation began in 2023, and it's following the death of a teenager. So the police investigation last year revealed the boy was engaging with an unknown person online who then threatened to share personal photos of him with his family and friends if he did not pay $500. You know what? Another unpopular opinion that I'm going to share here. This is terrible. This is heinous. It's terrible that, and I'm going to assume now then that it's all because it's sexual extortion. Sextortion that is the cutesy term that has been coined for it. It's online blackmail where someone is tricked or coerced into sending explicit images of themselves. Tricked or coerced. This is how so many people get. If sex wasn't made into the horrific taboo that it has been made into, if sex wasn't made to feel like a sin, people wouldn't have all this guilt and be blackmailed into it. This is a larger topic. I'm going to go back to reading headlines because this is a larger topic to talk about. How sex has been used to undermine especially women, severely, first and majorly and predominantly women. Whew. I'm going to continue reading the headlines. NDIS pays 1.4 million to pedophile. That's the National Disability Scheme that pays people with disabilities. How pays 1.4 million to pedophile. How sex offenders access disability packages. Whoa. As the disability scheme wrestles with blowouts, experts say funding is needed for criminals with disabilities. Wow. What do you think? That could be a topic for the juice. Let me write this down, my friends. Let me just keep it here. Should sex offenders, should sex offenders be given, disability payouts? I mean, pedophilia and all that, that's a fucking disability, not even literally. Oh, God, I didn't mean to be so stupidly punny with that. But that is a disability. These people are fucking messed up in the head. More than just a crime, it is something really twisted inside their heads. Do they deserve 1.4 million to pay? Ooh, it's a question for the juice, my friends. It's a question for the juice. Okay, should criminals? And this is interesting because Dwayne and I watched one of our top 10 favorite movies of the world from the Eurostream from Hollywood from one of our top 10 global directors, Christopher Nolan, The Dark Knight, with Christian Bale as Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Heath Ledger as the Joker. What brilliance! What brilliance! There's some messages in there because, if you've watched it, you know that the Joker has a plot in place and he makes people choose, to choose their lives over others. And according to the movie and according to this very privileged, I love Christopher Nolan's artistry, but it's very privileged. And according to the privilege, no, people choose goodness. And you know what? Only people of multicultural know this for a fact, that people do choose goodness. Because people of multicultural who have been suppressed and oppressed and repressed in these constructs of the Eurostream, if we wanted to, the constructs could have been abolished a long time ago. So we know goodness, that just because some shit happens to you, we don't want it to happen to other people. And that's what people of Jewish faith, that's what they said, never again. What happened to them, they didn't want to happen to anybody else. But the people in Israel are not people of Jewish faith. Their faith is something else. Their faith is, whatever it is you call the evil, the devil, don't call it Satan. Satan's some bullshit propaganda created by the Euro construct to have you fearing everything. What's the etymology of the word Satan? Go look for it. Shaitan, Persian Indian word for, monster, but also pre-Islamic Satan was a deity. Anyway, back to the news headlines. They can't afford the rent. Teachers demand 25% pay rise. No one can afford rent right now. No one. Except, of course, the elite. And they're crying because their rent has gone up by millions of dollars for something else. Teachers demand 25% pay rise. 25% pay rise is a bit little, isn't it? 50%. 50%. And especially because of the pandemic, we know how valuable teachers are. People with children know how valuable teachers are. We rely on teachers, and teachers come in many shapes and forms, as do healers. We rely on teachers and healers to ignite growth within our minds and our psyches. We need to be paying people like teachers and healers and conveyors of information. But no one can afford the rent because everything is so expensive. Why is everything so expensive? Because of profit. Because, as I read out to you on the Australian Stock Exchange, what's happening? It's the ASX is set to follow Wall Street gains, my friends, after strong U.S. job creation, not matched by wage rises. I don't even know what that means. If it's not matched, what does that mean? That means profits. So no wage rises, but strong gains means profits. And that's why everyone is suffering from paying for bread and butter. Staples are too expensive that people have to decide to skimp on the butter. In Fiji, we use butter like cream, like a spread. And it's getting too expensive. And they're actually having a go at everyone in Fiji. But understand this, Fiji people, your butter, Fiji's butter ain't Fiji's butter. It's Fiji's butter, the butter of Fiji from New Zealand. We used to have dairy farms in Fiji, but oh well. What else? What else can I read to you from Sydney Morning Herald? What? Okay, well, they've got, they write here, see, Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It is not a conflict. It is a crisis. And I'm going to say this to you. Israel is in crisis too. The world in general, in the global majority, the world is now looking at Israel like, wow, we vouched for you people. Even I have vouched for people, even though I have known about what is happening in Palestine since I was 19, for 34 years now. So Israel is pulling troops from southern Gaza. Now the plan is to clear Hamas from Rafah. And how are they going to do it? They're just going to bomb any which way they can. I have a motto, and Dwayne and I talk about it in one of our episodes on our podcast, Radio Fly. And actually, this is going to be also on RF3. RF3 is our public one, and Radio Fly is our personal podcast, but that doesn't mean it's private. It's still up, it's still there, it's public, but our RF3 is actually a little bit more in-depth into these things, into what we're saying here. So the withdrawal brings Israel's troop presence to one of the lowest levels, since the 6-month war began. And this is what I mean about Sydney Morning Herald. They want to report the news, but they don't want to offend anybody. Because, of course, Australia has a huge Jewish faith community and also a huge Israeli community. Those two are not necessarily the same. In the same way, you can have Muslims, and Islam is a Middle Eastern religion, but I know plenty people who are of the African continent, who are white, who formerly were Hindu or Christian, who are now Muslim. So Muslim is not a racial grouping based religion, and neither is Jewish. So there you go. What else is here? Wong names Wong Penny Wong, who is our foreign minister, Chinese origin, Chinese ancestry, proving very hard to the Australian government. I mean, she is not in a good space right now. She's a foreign minister, so she, like what they're doing with the world over, and state of America especially, they're putting women at the forefront. Black American people are being sent out to the world to answer the White House's, to answer for the White House is what they're doing. So at the UN, you'll see Black American women saying, no, we don't stand with the rest of the world, and we don't call for ceasefire. The White House is sending Black American people, especially Black American women, to do their filth jobs. And that's what Australia has done too. Our foreign minister is an Australian-born Chinese ancestry woman, and she's also gay. So there you go. Put a woman like, instead of making her, why not make her, I don't know, president, I don't know, prime minister, whatever, something better. Look at the women's cabinet, something. Women's portfolio historically has been manned by males here. Tony Abbott, a former prime minister, made himself minister for women's and indigenous affairs. Not important enough to have two separate portfolios, headed by a woman and an indigenous human being. No, oh my God. So listen to this. So the withdrawal brings Israel's troop presence to one of the lowest levels since the 6-month war began. Please understand, it started 76 years ago almost. But officials say the IDF is merely regrouping. The IDF, aka the Colonizer Offense Forces. So, and going back to this other headline, Wong named special advisor to probe Israel's response to deaths. Air Chief Marshal Mark Binskin will examine Israel's investigation of the attack in which Australian aid worker Zomi Francom and 6 of her World Central Kitchen colleagues died. Now, if you do know what's happening in the world, you do know that there's been a retaliation. Unfortunately, it was Israel, and why I say unfortunately for the news outlets, Israel fucked up majorly because they don't care. They're just firing. And as I said, one of my mottos, and we've talked about this on our podcast, My motto, which Dwayne's motto is certainly a bit, it's ready, fire, aim. And that's what these assholes are doing. They're just firing. When it comes to individual personalities and your career and your personal, what it is, your ambitions, your goals, your accomplishments, what you want to achieve, ready, fire, and then aim. Just fire. Have that fire in you. Listen to me. This world is going crazy, but this is what happened. This is what the IDF is doing. They're just firing. They're just killing civilians. And now they don't care when they're killing actual Palestinian civilians, people who are just minding their own business on that strip they like to make you believe is just a tiny street. That's all they're doing. They just want to evacuate this tiny street. They just want to free their hostages. Really? Have you seen the tally of deaths in comparison to the hostages? Have you seen how big that strip really is and what it is that they want it for? You know what? Unpopular opinion, I'm going to share it in the news time. Let them have it. They've destroyed that land. What do the Palestinians want with it anymore? This land that has been raped and contaminated and almost annihilated, and just give it to them. Let's see what happens. And you know what? We should all ask that the world, United Nations combined, give the Palestinians a beautiful oasis island in the Middle East somewhere. Why can't, if the US made the Palestinians, they didn't even make them, they basically dropped the ex-European refugees onto this land and said, here, take it. So great. Can't the other Islamic and Middle Eastern countries and Muslim, Middle Eastern countries, not just Islamic countries, give Palestinians a beautiful place? What is it about the land, Palestine, that everybody wants? Here's an opinion from the Sydney Morning Herald. Our inability to discuss difficult issues has never been more obvious. Not here on the Daily Egg, my friends. Here we discuss everything, including on the juice and unpopular opinions. We'll get there in a moment. This is going to be a bit longer than expected, but it's the new format for the Daily Egg. So bear with us. BBC, Israel reduces troop numbers in southern Gaza. Israel's military says it has completed its mission in Khan Yunis and its troops will rotate out. Sure. Okay, rotate out. Oh, you're not even that organized. We've seen via TikTok, thank you very much, TikTok, and then on Instagram, what these Israeli defense forces are actually like. They're just big, entitled, playing at war games. They think they're in a movie and they're playing, I don't know, Mission Impossible of their own bullshit. You should see the way they're singing and carrying on, and they're like this tough guys and blah, blah. Oh my God. Barbaric, childish, not even childishness is beautiful. Churlish, imbecile, bogan behavior. Let's see what's happening with Associated Press. Well, eclipse weather forecast, clear skies in the northeast, clouds in Texas. And what else is happening in Associated Press? Powerball lottery, 1.3 billion jackpot drawing delayed. Let's see what's happening in the Fiji Times. Free meds for 86,000 welfare recipients to enjoy free medical service. Well, that's good. That's about time, because as from what I understand, correspondents on the ground have told me that there has been a lot of money allocated to mental health. Where has that gone? Where has that gone? Fiji's gross domestic product, GDP, is about $4 billion, something, blah, blah, blah. We should be putting, not we, they, I am no longer, I'm not there. I shouldn't be saying what they should and shouldn't do. But as a person, as a sole person, as a person born in that country, what are you doing? What are you doing? As a person born in this world, what are you doing? What is going on? I need my glasses. This is serious business, folks. Now, what else is happening again from Fiji Village? We're still in Southern Hemisphere, Pacific region. Why is there a move to take out the acting, blah, blah, blah? It's always so political. Professor Prasad urges Fijians to celebrate and share their cultures with everyone to foster peace and progress. What's all Fijians? I, as an older Fijian, still have an issue applying the term Fijian to me. I can't even say it to myself. And that's because, well, we were told, and that was what the racially based coups were for, to, so people of Indian ancestry were made to feel not so welcome in the country of our birth and the country that we were all sent to through lies and conniving, manipulative ways. And yes, we get it, Pacific Islanders, you voyage to where you are true Pacificans. Where do you think the Indians came from, mate? How do you think they got there? Voyaged across the seas, and really on the ground there is a lot of love. It is just in the society places and in political places that race. What is race? Race, it's stupid, limited, ugly ego. But while we're still on Fiji Village, I'm going to read some really good news headlines for you, because we're going to end this with good stuff. Fijian Drua women secures third win of the season after defeating the Brumbies 27-9. This is rugby, my friends. Fiji is rugby mad. We can't help it. We're rugby mad too. We're commentators. We've commentated on the Rugby World Cup.
You. All right. I watch rugby and I just, yeah.
Dwayne knows.
Sideline comments.
Dwayne knows rugby, and I used to be a rugby journalist. Some would say, and I used to have a rugby blog. Some would say that it was mainly a Stephen Larkham fan club blog. Okay, great, but Stephen Larkham happened to belong to a group called the Wallabies at a time when the Wallabies were like.
I remember the Wallabies.
I remember the Wallabies too, and that's when the AR Useless had a trophy cabinet bursting with trophies.
Had a trophy cabinet.
We had a trophy cabinet. But anyway, friends, that is all for the news today. And we are now going to be heading off into Studio K to join us, where we share the juice. And today's the juice is unpopular opinions. What's yours? So we're heading off into Studio K now. What else can I bring? Blah, blah, blah. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Great, let's go. I'll follow you. While I read one more now, I'll come back to you, because I do get my news from all over the world, including a lot of news sources in the Pacific. So I usually do follow Post Courier, that's in Papua New Guinea. And I like to know what's happening in the Samoa Observer, and of course everything in Fiji. And Radio New Zealand and stuff also has good news sources, so that is where I like to get my news from. So let's have a solar eclipse of your own here right now. This is just think that this is well, this is not quite the solar eclipse, but let's just say this is the sunshine that is currently occupying your frame right now. Today's Daily Egg is going to be a bit longer than an hour, because today's Daily Egg is the new Daily Egg. Why not? New moon, new day, new week, new astrological year. The new Daily Egg. So, where were we? Unpopular opinion. What's yours?
I've got a few.
You've got a few.
But
if you have an unpopular opinion, please do let us know. I don't know if I can read. No, I can read. No, I can read.
Yes,
all
please.
messages are visible. Live chat, all messages are visible. Great. Oh, hi. Akka's here. Okay, great. I couldn't see who it was because for some reason. So if you have an unpopular opinion, share with us. Even if you're not here live, share with us in the comments. What's yours?
Well, okay, mine is
Uh-oh. What? When you laugh like that, I know it's going to be a bit juicy.
I got
the
some
juice.
juicy ones, but then I don't know if I should really say that these right now.
All right, I'm going to start with mine then.
But I've got one.
Okay, go.
Pineapple on pizza is yum.
Yes! Yes! And you know what?
Now,
Okay, you took me by surprise on this one.
Okay. No, but I've got a few in my head. So I don't know. The ones I don't want to say, I think we should discuss before I actually say them.
Okay.
But this is one I know that,
Alright.
we're just going to ease into the juice today, all right?
Okay.
With some pineapple.
With some pineapple. And you know what they say about pineapples? We should all be like pineapples. A bit, hard on the exterior, nice and sweet on the inside, and you wear a crown and all that shit. Pineapples are bromeliads. So they're beautiful and they come out like little tiny little things. They're really beautiful. They're not from the ground. So, pineapples on pizza. I've convinced you.
Yes, I must admit I was a bit of a wanker about this because, you know, I was taught how to cook in an Italian restaurant by an Italian chef, the Italian way.
Oh, I'm not the Italian way. He was taught all that. But because of me and my simple flavors way.
Oh, my goodness. You
But it has
introduced
to
me
be-
some things.
But it has to be fresh pineapple,
Yes.
not canned pineapple. It
What
has
a
to-
difference.
What a difference.
But I actually like it.
Yes, because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
adds. It's called Hawaiian because pineapples, of course, are popular in Hawaii, and
It's
I
tropical.
guess it's a tropical because Hawaiian is also ham. They
And
like ham.
and
all that.
also, you know, everything named like that came from America.
That's right.
So
Everything
Hawaii
is
right
American.
next to America.
That's right. Hawaii, they think they own Hawaii, so you know. So it's their 52nd state. I don't know. Gosh knows, Israel might be their 53rd. Woo! Unpopular opinion. Let's start. So
Yeah.
that one, pineapple on pizza is I'm not going to say the bomb because that perhaps might not be the right thing to say right
But
now.
that is an unpopular opinion.
That is an unpopular opinion. Pineapple on pizza is amazing. You have to use fresh pineapple, and don't obliterate the pineapple.
But
You
also
just
we use
toast it.
bacon.
Okay, so now, my friends, we have until the Daily Egg.
About 10.
Minutes of things to talk with you about. Oh, get out. So, unpopular opinion. What's mine? Ooh. But I also did want to talk to you about what's going on here and what we're doing. And as I said, there's fun, there's no games, there's no guile, there's only transparency, news, views, and a few other things that we would love you to join us in, and we will launch all of this tomorrow, and we'll and you'll know and join us. We would love you to interact and share, but this is a news and views show, so we're not here to take this is not a talk show. We will let you know when that happens. What are we doing here? I have shared that what is happening with other media platforms, and people are being impartial because people are scared to share the truth. Here's an unpopular opinion. Thank you. The Neolithic era was happier. Before humans forged, oh no, where have you gone? Forged iron. I know taking nostalgia to a new level. Tribes were strong. Smaller. So that's, oh, can I read it? Where can I read it? Where does it go?
What's that?
Oh my gosh. Come on, show me the messages.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, great. So yeah, I agree, because as we say, we're still in the Middle Ages, technologically advanced Middle Ages. So we were happier way before, when we needed less, when things were simpler. We were happier.
Well,
What
you
is-
said that. You said we're in the Middle Ages, and I agreed.
Yes, technologically advanced Middle Ages. Now, let me explain now about the Daily Egg before I go on to my unpopular opinion.
I can't wait.
Oh boy, oh boy. The Daily Egg is a news and views show, and we share the world's headlines. I curate the world's headlines until we have the means, which means the funding, and therefore with the funding we have the people, the team, the contributors. Right now it's just Dwayne and me, and I am curating news headlines from trusted sources and a varied selection of sources, and from that I can see how people see things very differently, and which is why I know news sources can't exactly be impartial, because they get their funding also pulled. I will then I curate what's happening around the news, share my views on it, because I have a view or two. And look, I don't think viewers should have to pay for this, so I think news should always be free. Excuse me, I just need to clear my throat. But we would like to be sponsored, because curating the news is not easy. We would like to also start writing our own news. I can't do that all on my own, and it is a full-time job. I am a journalist. I know how to do it. I know how to train other people to be journalists. I would like to hire other writers, reporters, and journalists and contributors. I can't do that until we have funding for ours. So this is what we are doing. We are seeking patrons and sponsors, and we give you things in return. We give you mentions, we give you, we promote you, you bring our shows to the public who need it. Why? Because you too also feel we need to now be transparent. Let's join forces and share information freely for others. Pay us. That means investing in us, but that's not a stock exchange type of investment, as I said earlier. You go, you buy a new product, you try it out. If it works for you, you keep buying it. It's an investment. There's a risk factor. That's what this is. This is what it is. Pay us so that we can do the jobs that we were obviously built to do. I was born to do this. I am unafraid, and I have a voice, and I have a mind, and I have a calling. And that's to share the information and truth and transparency with the world. This is what we do.
Invest in humans.
Invest in human beings via us. Invest in other people, not just us.
All investments are going into AI. Invest in human intelligence.
Exactly that. And this is something you had pointed out to me from Black American producer, composer, songwriter, singer will.i.am, who had said, look at the amount of money being poured into AI. What about HI? And that is human intelligence. We're part of that, human intelligence. We want to then expand our platform to help others. We want to live well, and we want to help others live their best life. So join us. Join us. Join our channel. We're not afraid. But we're also full of love and care and compassion. The world needs to change. And as I said, I don't want to make this niche. I don't think it should be niche. Information should be free as much as possible. But as you can see, even the big people, even the big, mastheads like The Guardian. Every time you click on The Guardian, first up you get, please, this is your whatever, 130th article you've read this week. Can you please give at least $5? And then you look at it and go, wow, if these people that are basically, their staff is huge. Can you imagine how much they have to pay worldwide for the things they have to do to provide news? It's mostly white. It's all very optics. Even though The Guardian has said yes, we were actually once slavers, they're still kind of upholding their slavery ancestry by being all white behind the scenes. You can see who we are. We're brown in front of the scenes, brown behind the scenes, brown in the scene. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired of performative shit. I'm so tired of optics. Anyway, so we want to keep this free, but we would like to be able to concentrate on the work. If I didn't have to worry about working to pay bills, if we didn't have to worry about that, I could curate this news for you myself. Actually, what I would like to do is hire young people the world over, especially in the Pacific, Fiji, Papua New Guinea. We've got young people in Australia who are hungry for jobs. But why should they have to do this without pay? We want to pay people when we're training them, because we're investing in them. So we want to pay to say, we believe in you. We're going to pay you for your time and your energy, and we're going to train you, and then we're going to pay you again. So we are not going to charge viewers. We were going to have sponsors. We're going to have friends and patrons. What was that wonderful name you... Anyway, if you want a media kit to find out what you get for that, please do contact us via all our details are here. We are going to have some niche programs that are paid for, very small numbers, but we believe that this then becomes what you can pay for your streaming services, that half of it's shit. You can pay a minuscule amount to pay something.
There's your Unpopular mini.
All the shit that people are paying for on streaming services are just to do binge-worthy things so that they don't have to think. People are tired of thinking, and I get it. I get it. That's why it is very difficult to be here, because this is a variety show. However, it's only me and him. And some will say, yeah, but you're different personalities every time I see you. No, it's all me. People want constant drama, constant something, constant turmoil. Drama, people love their drama. People love their murder shit. Even all these cold cases. I can't believe the heinous crap people watch just to shut themselves out of the state of numbness we're all in. Woo! So everybody is glued to genocide TV because it's like, oh, wow, look, they're all dying, huh? Okay, gotta go, bye. That's how it is. It's all just entertainment, folks. So some of our niche shows will be pay-per-view, because they'll in that will be our stories of the world, also some history things that I'm sharing, and also in that will be educational things, because I mean, amongst the history, I'll be sharing a lot of what I do when I talk about the philosophy, the history, and the purpose of fashion. I share these a lot throughout everything I talk about. So, as I said, the pay-per-view things, just think of this as, well, rewarding yourself for the investment you put in yourself by watching us. So you're investing in yourself by watching us, our shows. We have a lot. We have the Daily Show. We have the Feed, which is not a cooking show, but it is about food and food for thought. We have outside broadcasts. We have our Finalysis. We have so many shows ready there waiting for you to see. We have a playlist called DDV Media, which is Dust Devi Vision Media. And there we have produced a few slow burn, long view videos. I know that you expect 60 seconds of entertainment and education and wisdom, creativity, 60 seconds. I'm old school, so's my man. We do things with substance. And substance takes time, not necessarily in the brewing of it. Excellence, the consistency of it is in the showing of it. You don't have to constantly, unless of course you're sharing news. Because I was going to say you don't have to constantly be seen, but like, yeah, hell yeah, you do if you're sharing news. So in this world, it has to be in your face for it to get through to your minds. So if I annoy you enough every day, and if you're annoyed by me enough every day to come back and see what we're doing every day, please do so. Do I want to share my unpopular opinion now? I think that people don't want the world to change.
Yeah. Okay, that's doozy.
I think that if the world was to truly change, every single person in the world would have to really look at themselves and the part they play, we play, and also how we benefit from the world being the way it is, and also how our traumatized, numb selves don't want the world to change.
I mean, if it was going to change, it would have already.
Well, there you go, folks. There's that. So, that's an unpopular opinion. And also, why I say that is because of something we watched, and I have mentioned this earlier. We watched one of our most favorite movies last night, The Dark Knight. And I'd already pointed out to you that in movie world, the evil person's plans are foiled, thwarted. The good people are good, essentially. They always choose good. Do they? Do they? In real life, would that have happened? Would people have made the choice not to kill the other group of people?
I believe so, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Wow. I, who have had...
I'd like to believe.
I, who am brimming with optimism and positivity, can't truthfully say that I believe in the real world, people wouldn't.
Yeah, that's something to discuss.
If you've seen The Dark Knight, you know that there is a choice that the people of Gotham have to make. And it's a choice between supposed good and bad people, all right? To choose between who deserves to live. Okay, but I think you're right. I think it's the people who get into power.
Yeah.
Who then want, it's always the power brokers who want people to make choices. And people don't want to make choices. People want choices made for them. Now that is a problem. Back at a time it was called leadership and guidance. That's all. But now we're being misled. We're not being led. We're being misled. And my unpopular opinion is this, is that even activism perpetuates the growth of evil in this world.
You asked something the other day. what would activists do if there was peace?
The argument is, and the truth is, without the war, there would be no activism, right? So war, it's the shit that has brought out the goodness.
Yeah.
You know, that's the shit that has built the magic mushrooms. Well, you wish. No, I don't know. But now people have found purpose in activism. Why are things not changing? We can say they are slowly, but I actually think that
I think everything's just being rebranded.
in the same way, a lot of people on activism agendas or paths, these are agendas of some sort, not necessarily evil. It's avoidance. I see all these people who really need to be doing a lot of work on themselves before they go out into the world, because everybody of that sort, including me, and I can say this because of how I used to be prior. Long-term viewers know that I have had a few things that I've had to evolve out of, and that was I came face to face with my trauma, and I have been working on myself. It is a work of progress. The emphasis is on progress, not in, of. So yes, I did say that. And in The Dark Knight, the Joker says to Batman, I don't want to kill you. What's the point, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, well, then from Batman's point of view, well, he only exists because the evil exists. But then if the evil exists, can he stop? My unpopular opinion is that right now, the world's activism is perpetuating the evildoers. I have no solutions for this one. But that's my unpopular opinion, and hopefully tomorrow, when we come back with our other segments, I can answer the Juice's unpopular opinion question today, because that's the question today. What's your unpopular opinion? Leave yours if you can, if you want to. But anyway, thank you very much for joining us for the Daily Egg, the most important part of the show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is Monday, April 8th, 2024. There is a solar eclipse headed your way everywhere you are on this planet, because none of us can escape it, but I guess the view is best if you are in the state of America, and it's going to traverse midday on Monday, April 8th in the state of America. For us, it is, well, a new day. It is also, if you're astrologically, spiritually inclined, a new moon in Libra, I think, and that's all about balance and setting intentions. Even if you don't subscribe to this and you consider it all esoteric and woo-woo, whatever. It's a new day. It's a new week. Set your intentions. Just one. I will brush my hair today. Surprise yourself. Thank you very much for being here. Bye. See you tomorrow.